According to our most grand overlord, the YouTube algorithm, most glorious, one must make videos that are both the most popular and also appeal to the highest number of people possible. But you know what? Sometimes it's not about doing what's popular, it's about doing what's right. And that's why I'm going to rant for a long time about all of the ways that esports agencies and talent agencies screw over their players and creators, because it makes me angry. I have to review these contracts and I continuously see people getting screwed over by people in this industry that have entire giant lawyer teams designed to mess them up. So we're going to talk about ways talent agencies and esports teams try to screw you, starting with the splits and amount of money they take. But before I do that, I'm going to tell you, no matter what you learn from this video, and it will be important to every creator, other people don't care, but I don't care about that, you must get a lawyer. Get an entertainment lawyer. Like, I don't know how you're going to find one, but you can go on Twitter, you can go search in a ton of different places and look for people that are specialized either in esports or talent agency. Get a lawyer who is nonpartisan, not part of a talent agency, because those exist, and can actually review your contract and give you a unbiased take. Even though I do this all the time, and I know a lot about what I'm about to talk about, I am telling you, you need to get a lawyer. Spend the $300, $400, because usually an agency, almost always, has a team of lawyers themselves and is going to screw you for a lot more money than it costs you to just get a consultation from somebody to do something, okay? Starting with the splits and amount of money they take. We're going in hot. How much money should a talent agency take from you? Well, I have seen lots of numbers. Some people, some agencies take 35%, 50%. I've seen as high as. I've even seen 80, 20% in some infamous leaked contracts from 2019 that shall remain nameless from publicly traded companies, okay? This is way too much money. This is crazy, right? So the amount that a talent agency should take for sponsorships, bringing you deals, is as follows, okay? If I would say in the current kind of meta that the average should be about 15%. I would accept 10%, but 20% is fine if they do everything. They white glove the whole deal. They do all of the sales for you. They bring you the deal. They tell you exactly what the deliverables are. They measure it. You literally don't do anything but that activation. Then maybe 20% is okay. But I see above 20% all of the time. I see 20 to 35% to 40% money and splits that they take all of the time. Now listen, that's really annoying to me, because a lot of the time these people do no work at all to get that kind of that to you, right? Like maybe they're just like a pass through for another brand or any number of reasons, but regardless, that's how much money that a talent agency should take. And I'm sure we're going to get into more of this later, so I'll just kind of keep going. But you should not accept a 25% or higher revenue split on anything for any reason, okay? Let's talk about merch deals. Merch deals, a lot of agencies and merchandising companies feel like they can get away with a lot because merch is supposed to be expensive to produce or whatever, right? But what you don't realize is that usually you are almost always covering the cost of goods sold for that merchandising company anyway. So if you're paying for your own product to be made, then that split doesn't make sense. And even if you're not paying for that, then if they're calculating based on after profit revenue or profit revenue, agencies will try to take anywhere between 30 and I've seen to 50%, okay? So in my view, I think that a appropriate number is around 20 to 30%. After expenses. So expenses are done, you pay for the product, and they take 20 or to 30% of that profit margin. So if you make $10 per t-shirt, them taking $2 or $3 is okay. And again, this can change dependent on like how much marketing they're doing or how much advertising they're doing for you. If you have an agency that is doing absolutely everything, like white gloving it, building your domain, marketing it for you, then you might consider 30%. 20% is super normal. Also, the average I've seen is around 40%, which just feels like way too much for me. Now, again, like all this is going to be kind of subjective, but I'll just like kind of start here. You have to remember that you are the person with the brand power as a creator. You're the person that they want to talk to. You're the person that has the viewership, that has the advertising, and has the influence power. That's why you're called an influencer. They're not the influencer. Some agencies try to be brands, but they're not brands. They're only brands because of you, the creator. A lot of esports teams are really predatory in this way because they try to convince creators and esports players that they are part of a bigger brand. But what you need to realize is that you are actually literally the entirety of that brand. If all of the players leave, even the most popular teams, those teams usually don't really have anything. They have like maybe a central YouTube channel that doesn't have as many subscribers as their top channel does, right? Like their top creator channel does. So an agency or a esports organization's power is only as powerful as their own creators are and their top creators. And oftentimes it's not even as powerful as that. Even if you look at like LCS teams, right? Like I'll just pull up like here's Evil Geniuses, right? There's people here that are going to be unhappy with me. Look at the engagement of this Twitter, right? So it seems to have 600,000 followers, which seems impressive, right? But if you look at the engagement here, 14 likes, 6,000 views, 82 likes, right? 15 likes, 17 likes, 208 likes. Ooh, right? Different language. 8 retweets, right? Why is this happening? Because EG in of itself, there are people that will argue this with me, is not a brand. Its creators are a brand. If it doesn't have creators and if it doesn't have that kind of presence, then it can't be a brand. So you have to realize your power in this individual instance, okay? And that power should give you leverage and confidence to negotiate against agencies and people that are trying to screw you in this way. All right? Agencies and esports teams that act as your bank and pay you a commission, but you're still not an employee, in parentheses, okay? So many esports teams and agencies will say in contract, hey, you're going to authorize us to collect all of your revenue for you. So to somebody that's like maybe listening to this right now, you're like, really? That's a thing? This is really common. So let's say that you're a Twitch streamer and then you also have a YouTube channel and you have like a TikTok. What they'll do is they will literally point all of the payment portals to their agency or their team. This is very common in esports. And then they will collect all of the revenue and they'll pay you out on some basis, weekly, quarterly, whatever. Now, if that sounds crazy to you, that is crazy. You should never accept a deal like this because a couple reasons, right? Number one, you are not an employee. You're not. You are a creator that is signing with them under the hopes that they're going to bring you marketing, promotion, and brand deals, and you're not working for them, right? But even if you were working for them, the idea that someone else should be your bank is bad because, one, you're trusting them with your accounting, with their accounting, right? Usually with no way to vet this process. And two, you're trusting that they're 100% ethical and above board. So for example, and I will use a literal example of a sponsorship that I saw, okay? Sponsorship was for $110,000. The agreement on paper with the influencer was we take 20% of the total brand deal. So let's just, I can't do math, so let's say the sponsorship was $100,000. Means they take 20K, okay? All right, so they take 20K to do their job and give you the brand deal. You get 80K, right? But what happened was this person had a deal with that agency where they were their bank. So there were these other things in the contract that said, if we have fees that are related to our agency or we have miscellaneous expenses or things we need to handle for the campaign, we're allowed to take a percentage of that out in that would otherwise be your cut. And guess what? And I got to, so this is a rare example where I got to actually see both ends of this deal because I was working both with that agency and I was working with the brand. So I saw every contract that went through. You have to understand there's a brand between the agency and the brand, right? There's also a contract between the person and the agency, and then there's like 3 contracts in between and pass through. I got to see all of them. Well, what ended up happening was that the agency took their $20,000 cut, and then they took an additional $60,000 cut for a total of $80,000, and then they paid the actual Twitch streamer $20,000. Now you might say that's crazy, but to a Twitch streamer, $20,000 is a lot of money. Now they sold that person on the basis of a $100,000 deal, but that person still was happy with the $20,000 they got, not knowing that they lost $60,000 because they signed something that said this. Okay, so these people should never act as your bank. They should never act as your exclusive representation. And I even saw a contract in esports once that requested power of attorney. I wish I could say who that is. Oh my God, because I'm pretty sure that team is still doing that to this day. It's actually insane. But you can't accept anything like this. Like, you're not an employee of these people, and I think this is something that every person should seriously consider. Like, it could be really simple stuff, by the way. What if they are 100% ethical and above board, but their accountant just misses, a $3,000 or $4,000 payment? That happens all the time, right? Like agencies that have multiple talent or esports teams that have like 40 players, maybe you just miss something. Like, you just miss like, oh, $1,500 should have gone there. You have no way to vet that process. You have no way to understand that if this person is acting as your bank. So don't let them do that. Like, instead, they should just pay. Like, they should work out some kind of payment portal, or there's a million different ways to fix it. But acting as a bank, bad. Next, let's go over a big one, which is exclusivity. This is a hot topic. All of these are hot topics. Let's be super honest. Exclusivity means usually there's two parts of exclusivity I don't like. One is you can only be offered brand sponsorships through us. That's the common one that people know. The less common one that people don't know is what we call a exclusive, non-revocable license to do X, and we're going to talk about both of those. Okay, so the first one, exclusivity, in every esports team you can only play for us. That's probably fine. I think that probably preserves the integrity of esports, where it's like, okay, if you play for Team Dignitas, you can't like just go on the weekend and go play for C9. That makes sense to me. Okay, I don't know if it's enforceable, because I'm not sure that esports talent are considered athletes in the same way that they're governed in California, which is where most of this stuff is, like the LCS, by the TAA. And I never really knew that at CLG when I worked there. I was a little worried about that. I was like, what if a player just like decides to leave? Can we like actually contractually stop them? It's never been challenged in court, and that's like the kind of secret esports owner doesn't want you to know kind of thing, because that's a really kind of spooky thing. I don't know if you can actually like exclusively hold people like that, but you probably should be able to do that, but that's fine. But if you're exclusive to a talent agency where their only role, or an esports agency, because this is increasingly happening where esports orgs are like content orgs, where they're bringing on content creators to do something. If you are exclusive to that agency, now it gets a little bit weird if you're going to be exclusive with them and all they do, their only role is to offer you brand sponsorships. Ooh, I don't know if I like exclusivity in that way. And now, look, there's going to be some agents that are like, but Devin, how can we invest resources? You're going to hear this bullshit from every agent you talk to if you bring this issue up. How can we invest resources in you if we know that you can walk at any time? Won't that mean that we shouldn't put salespeople in you because we can't trust you to be a team player? Okay, dumbass. Well, then why don't you offer a recoup? If you're going to offer me, if I have to be exclusive to you, offer me a recoup on the money you don't make me, right? or offer me some kind of guaranteed amount of deal flow on a monthly basis. How about that? And then they'll be like, oh my God, no, I'm scared. Because they want you to put everything on the line for them, but they don't want to guarantee you anything. So if you find a agency that maybe can do two things, right? Number one, they say, sure, you're exclusive to us, but hey, you can walk anytime, because we're going to get to terms and termination later. That's good. That's cool. Great. Like, that seems ethical. Or they say, yeah, you're exclusive to us and it's for X number of years, but we will offer you a X number of guaranteed deal flow where if this doesn't happen, it's either a material breach and you can walk, or we will make good on that in some way. That's great, right? But you'll find that most people that are trying to be exclusive, the reason why the agency wants to do that, or the esports org wants to do that, is because it increases their valuation to investors. So if I say I have 5, 10, 15, 20 talent on my roster, and these are all my creators, I go to my investors and I say, look at this. I got a 2-year contract with this creator, and it's Ninja or it's XQC or whoever. That's not to say whoever those agencies are that represent those people are bad. I just am saying those names, right? Now I can go to my investor and say it's worth this much because I have that 2-year contract. That's why they want those exclusive deals. They don't actually want it to the line they're going to feed you is like, oh, I want this so that I can better invest in you. But that's bullshit. It's the same conversations on the brand side no matter what. The second thing they do, and this is a little bit more insidious, is you'll see a lot of these contracts that say they're exclusive non-revocable license to represent you. My problem is with two of these things. Another bad word here is perpetual. Basically, licensing should be worth something. In the media world, in the traditional media world, licensing is worth a lot. And I mean by a lot, I mean like billions of dollars. So if you're in the NFL, right, how does the NFL mainly make money? Well, it licenses the ability to broadcast that stuff to certain TV channels. And those TV channels have to pay hundreds of millions of dollars a year for that right. So licensing actually is worth a lot, but people in the esports and the content creator world don't understand why. Your brand and your thing that you do is worth something. It's worth something because it has influence. It gets people in front of you. And if people are in front of you, they can watch ads. And if people watch ads, they can make us money. And we love money. So if you give up your license to do something exclusively to this one person and you do it for free, it's usually just a tag along in a contract. You are making a mistake because that is worth something. So they should either pay you for that license or it should be a non-exclusive, revocable at your request, non-perpetual license. It's actually ridiculous that when you're done with your relationship with that agency, they can continue to persist in a perpetual license. Now, they might argue in a contract, okay, well, what if we need to, we have an advertisement for you, and then you quit, and then we have an advertisement that goes on for 3 months. Well, then you could just write that in. you could literally just write in that ad. You don't need an exclusive license to protect against those instances. Okay. So I hate those kind of clauses for exclusivity. And let me actually bitch about exclusivity even a little more, because that's what I'm doing today. I just don't like the idea of exclusivity in talent agencies anymore. It's 2023 as of the time of this recording. And according to my little watch here on my desktop, this production quality, I don't like it. I used to run a talent agency, and I had exclusive contracts, and I couldn't make sense of it ethically. Let me tell you why. So I released everybody. That's what I did. I actually was like, everybody, we can still bring you deals, but you just don't have to be here anymore. You don't have to talk to me. Go, be free. We'll do everything we did before, but you know what? I just can't make sense of it. And here's why I can't make sense of it. If you are an esports organization, and on this side, you represent talent, okay? Actually, let's make this even more dramatic. Using my favorite program. Okay, on this circle, you represent your talent and your creators, and you're trying to bring them the best deals possible. And on this side, you represent the brand, right? The people that come to you for the sponsorship, and you're trying to get them the lowest price possible. Explain to me how this works. How do you do both of these things? You're trying to get the creator the best deal possible, and you're trying to get the brand the lowest price possible. Who do you work for? These are two opposed people. So if you're a ad agency or a brand agency, you are going to the creator on behalf of the brand. You're trying to get the brand the best deal possible. If you're a talent agency, then you're trying to get your creator the best deal possible from the brand that's offered you that deal. Great, but you can't be both. In the same exact way as I don't think it exists that you can be a law firm and a talent agency at the same time. That makes sense to me. Those things are mutually exclusive, usually. Okay? So, I just, don't like this. And I couldn't make sense of it. I couldn't make sense of it. I couldn't say to myself, okay, I'm going to go represent creators, and then I'm going to go do a bad job for brands because I'm going to go to them and I'm going to be like, yo, yeah, I've got these creators, and you should pay for them. And the brand's going to be like, well, how did you define that price? And I'm like, well, just buy the highest I can possibly get for my creator. And then I go to the creator, and the brand's gonna be like, that's BS. And the same is the way if I go to the creator and say, hey, I got you the lowest price possible. So I think that they're esports orgs and talent agencies, there's a fundamental problem with that business model of if you're doing sales for brands and you supposedly rep creators, what's going on there. So I don't like the idea of exclusivity because it fundamentally breaks that principle, right? It just doesn't feel good. So I don't think exclusivity should be a thing. I think that if you are truly confident in your agency, if you are going to offer exclusivity, you allow people to walk if they want, whenever. Because almost always with exclusivity, there's a terms and termination clause that says you can't walk for X number of years. I think you should be confident. You should be able to be like, yeah, no, I'm a chat agency. I know I can sell these deals. So if you don't want to be here, that's fine, and we can both walk if we don't want this relationship. But yeah, these sort of perpetual marriage contracts just kind of piss me off in the creator world. Don't like it. What else? Ooh, this is a good one. Non-disparagement agreements. This is one that a lot of creators don't think about, and it's especially relevant to esports teams. So what is a non-disparagement agreement? Because that might be a little bit confusing. Non-disparagement means you can't talk bad about me and I can't talk bad about you. That's a mutual agreement. Or even worse, a one-sided non-disparagement means that I can talk bad about you, but you can't talk bad about me. I see that in some contracts. Meaning you can't go on Twitter and say, this agency sucks. I hate them. They told me a bad thing and I didn't do it. Why is that important? Because your power as an influencer and creator is your voice. So when they issue you this gag order and they say you can't talk about this stuff and you're contractually unable to talk about this stuff, that's a bad thing because it means that they can prey upon you without you actually using your most important channel, which is your voice, to be able to go out and call against that. The last thing that an agency or esports team wants to do, or like FaZe Clan had that video that came out pretty recently of a guy that just blew it all out. Was like, here's all the bad stuff they're doing. Now that guy, if he signed a FaZe agreement, probably did have a non-disparagement clause, just didn't care. Now they can go after him legally for that. I'm guessing there. I didn't see his contract, but non-disparagement is generally not a good thing because you lose your voice and your ability to speak out. And so agencies should be a little bit afraid of you, I think. I would usually ask to remove this from contracts. Okay, we talked about licensing, right? And what else we got? Got some fun stuff over here. All right, prize money for esports teams. Prize money and splits and appearance fees, prize and events splits. Back to money for a minute. I probably should have put this in the first section. These are just my notes. Prize money shouldn't exceed 5%, I think. Prize money is not the main way that esports teams make money. I just don't think it's like appropriate. I've seen 50% splits. Appearances at events often try to pay an agency or like a percentage, but should always pay the creator a flat rate. And they shouldn't take they should only take their normal percentage. So if they're taking like 10 or 15%, that just is a sponsorship. But they should always pay you a flat rate. And your flat rate really depends entirely on your viewership, but should be quite high. Usually appearance fees like kind of start at like the $7,000 to $8,000 range. And I've paid appearance fees as high as, what's the highest pay for paid? Probably $150K for a half day. Half day, like I think it was like 6 hours at a booth. I didn't get paid that. That'd be great. Guys, I don't have that kind of money. Subscribe to my YouTube, okay? But I paid that as an agency. I paid that to somebody who does have that kind of money. That was good. We talked about obligations of agencies a little bit, which this also includes net profit splits. Don't do this. Don't do this. So any situation where they're like, okay, if we do a sponsorship for you, whatever profit you make from that, we should make as well. Doesn't make sense to me. That's actually pretty important. So like, let's say that you have an affiliate deal where you get an energy drink sponsor and you make $10 per every drink that you sell. Why should the agency take $2 with 20%, right, of that $10? I don't think they should. They are selling the deal, which is great, but they should not take 20% or X% or 40% or whatever of the net profit of those things that you're selling. That's your work. You're putting in all of that work. They brought you the sponsorship, great, but that's not worth 20% of the net profit of all the stuff that you sell. So oftentimes these deals, they have like a caveat to them where it's like you get paid a flat fee, but maybe you have like an affiliate thing on top of that. That stuff shouldn't be messed with by agencies and esports teams or whatever. I think that's unethical. I don't like it. So net profit splits don't do that generally. Owning your content, that's another one. This kind of goes with the exclusive licensing thing, owning your content. And then we're going to talk about some other important stuff. But before we do that, yeah, we're 23 minutes into a Devin Nash video. You know what it's time for if you're here on the regular. 2352, the secret call out. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. I'm Devin Nash, formerly of CLG, the CEO over there, and now at Novo Brand Agency, where we represent brands and do cool stuff with them for influencers. We are now not a talent agency. That's why I can do stuff like this. And kind of point this kind of stuff out, but I have worked in talent agencies, and that is why I know this stuff. Also was at esports. But hey, if you like this kind of stuff and you think it's useful, I have a Patreon with over 90 videos, patreon.com/Devin Nash for $5. And I teach business, I teach marketing, I teach more advanced concepts there. And you can go there and check it out and subscribe for $5. You get all those videos, and then you can just unsubscribe if you don't like it or whatever. And then I don't really have anything else to call out, but hey, if you like this, you can just subscribe to this channel. I would really appreciate that, because I make this stuff and I like people to watch it. Okay, owning your content. Owning your content means who owns your content. You'll notice in platform deals like Twitch, Twitch makes a kind of big deal about owning your content for some period of time. I think it's like 24 hours in a lot of their contracts, but you'd have to check on that. Anyway, this is an important concept that some agencies and esports teams in particular are notorious for this, will try to own your content. They'll try to say, actually, everything you produce is ours, and now we have the right to license it to you. That's a crazy thing. Obviously, if you produce your own work and your own content, you should be the proprietor of that and the arbiter of it. You should not give that up. Mandatory hours streamed and videos posted. Ooh, this is a hot one. Mandatory requirements. Okay, hours streamed or videos made or whatever. You're not an employee, so don't do this. Esports teams have a pretty notorious problem with requesting, demanding that people stream a certain amount of time. I've kind of always had a problem with this because, again, it's another one of those like issues. It's like, okay, you want players to practice and be the best people they can be competitively, right? But then you also want them to be your sort of brand advocates and represent your sponsors, but that is counterintuitive to being the best players possible. Now, your org needs to make money, right? And I understand that, but like requesting people stream huge amounts of hours or make videos seems unreasonable in the wake that an esports player should be focused on being the best competitive player possible. Seems like more of a problem they're trying to solve with their business model. I'll have a video that's coming out about that later, but some of the problems with esports business models. But rather than like actually like benefiting the creator. Now, look, if a contract requests that you appear for brand-related things as it relates to the team, that's fine, right? Like you're going to have to put in a little bit of work to do that. What I'm talking about is like predatory, like you need to stream 20 hours a week. I've seen that a lot, type of stuff that goes into contracts where you should be spending that time practicing because the model of the business itself is bad, right? It's bad because it has X number of problems it has to solve that it's putting on the creator instead of trying to solve those problems at a business level. Does that make sense? So as a creator or as an esports player, like we're talking about now, you know, as a creator, your job is to create the best and most compelling content that you can. Unless you're like me and you already make all your money in the agency world and then you just make videos like this for 30 minutes at a time to rant about issues that you care about, then that you don't have that problem. But most of you have the problem of, well, I actually have to monetize through my own content creation or professional play. If that's you, then your problem is everything that you do that isn't that takes away from doing that. So if you are not spending time being the best player possible and you're doing a bunch of bullshit over here, you're not spending time being the best player possible. Everybody else that is spending time doing that is getting ahead of you. Likewise, if you're not creating another YouTube video or making another Twitch stream or whatever you do, and you're spending your time on a bunch of brand activation and stuff like that, then you are not doing that thing and you're not growing yourself. So you have to be careful with things like this. There is a reasonable amount of requests that can be made by an agency or like an esports team to approach you for certain things, but generally speaking, you got to be careful with these kind of mandatory requirement things. Okay. Yeah. What else? What else I got? That's it. I think just a couple of kind of closing notes and things that I think. I spend a lot of my time wishing that creators spent more time thinking about the business side of their business, and rather than like the actual other stuff. Like, and coming from the caveat that I just said that, you know, your focus is on like content creation, create the most content possible. The people that I find think the most about issues like this are the people that don't need to think about the issues. So like if you're like a person who's like has 50 viewers or on Twitch, or like you've got like your first 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, you are not a person that needs to worry about like agencies and their exclusive problems and things like that. This video might be interesting to you because this is kind of a cool world, but beyond that, you need to be focused on creating the best content possible. But what I find is that with people who are already successful creators with a high viewer count or high subscriber count, they tend to have gotten there by creating great and compelling content, but not by thinking about these issues. And you are the people that need to watch this video. You're the people that need a lawyer and need to actually negotiate this with agencies and esports teams. There are some good agencies and there are some good esports teams, but you have to understand that the vast majority of them are owned and profit-driven by either, at this point, venture capitalists or other sports teams who have been in the business of doing these contracts for years and controlling as much of the rights as possible. And some of you may have the option to either sign an exclusive contract or be on your own and maybe just hire someone or outbound to the people. But when I say outbound, I mean like send emails to people yourself that literally you could just do this yourself, right? Like if an agency is not going to send you brands and they just want you to sign exclusively. I've seen so many times an agency signs an exclusive person and then that person might get like 1 or 2 deals a year from that agency. Like that just feels messed up to me. In that instance, why not just do it yourself? Like before your stream, send 1 to 3 emails every day to brands that you love and say, hey, I'm this person and I just would want to work with you. Like what would you be willing to pay? And just try that out. Or maybe get somebody like a moderator or somebody to help you on Twitch or like, your editor on YouTube, whatever. Like, right? There's like, I just want people to think more about when they're signing an exclusive contract that's going to give away all of these rights. Is this really somebody that I'm signing up for that is going to take care of me and really cares about me? Sometimes the answer is yes. Like legitimately, I'd like to think at Counterlogic Gaming, we supported our players well, and we really tried. At least I really tried. I know my team did too. When I say my team, like the people that worked with me, I know we tried really hard to do well by our players. We didn't always do it. Like we messed up, but we tried really hard. I saw a lot of teams that weren't doing that. So I want you to ask that question when you're going into these agreements and when you're entering into agreements and business relationships. Are you entering into an agreement that truly has your best interest in mind? Just run that kind of program through your head and see what happens. And hopefully the information that I've talked about in this video and the other stuff that I create has equipped you to better do that. And leave a comment if it has, or just kind of tell me what you think about this. That's it. Hopefully I provided some value. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you later. Consider subscribing again and going to Patreon if you like the kind of stuff that I do. Thanks. Bye.